Hello, lads and ladies, and welcome back for another, stream. New year, same old CODS vlogs, same old co-host. Hello, you okay?
No, I'm not okay, but looking forward to it, mate. Yeah. Did you enjoy seeing the new year in?
No, don't like New Year. I'm a Grinch
Why?
with it. I think it's a new same thing as 2 days ago. What's changed? It's just a letter, a number. Sorry. A number. Do you know what I mean? It's a number. So, yeah, it is what it is.
What are your New Year's resolutions, Ben? Do you have any?
To get a new co-host. That's number one. No, properly. I think to be less intense, less stressful. Try and be more chilled. Be more adventurous a little bit as well, and to attack what I want to do, whether it's in the gym or on here as well. Find a replacement for the vlogs, so changing them, swapping them a little bit as well. So yeah, what about yourself?
Well, before we came on, I was actually on I was on the phone with a guy called Joe who's training to be a PT.
Right.
So I'm going to throw myself at the gym this year properly.
Good lad.
I think it's time I shifted a bit of timber, started to thin out a little bit. So yeah, that's my mindset. Yeah, I think my new just be happier. I think it's just to put myself first. I think that's my resolution to try and prosper and develop myself as much as I possibly can, whether that be a new place, whether that be new employment, whatever it will be. I'm just looking to improve myself as a person and maybe get a girlfriend, because it's been nearly a year to the day that I broke up with my my ex-missus. So maybe it's the year for my life to fall into place. I mean, I'm getting old now, and I'm 27 this year. It's about time, someone my age settled down and started spending his pension. Do you know what I mean?
I'm 22. I'm 24 next year. Do you know what I mean? So it's
I'm 28 next year. Oh my god!
24 next year.
Shut up! Will you shut up? That is literally 24. Is like a mint age.
I think that with the gym. I think with the gym, I just want to try and attack it. Like I've been attacking it probably for the last 9 months, I'd say. But I've got a marathon this year as well. So yeah, a marathon worth of League One content coming your way as well. Should we get started?
Just before we do, my PT is a Blues fan and is a regular viewer of the lives. So
how is he?
It's I don't know if you can remember. I don't know if you will, because we get quite a lot of Blues fans in here. His name's Joe Nevy, and he has popped in
that name
a few times. So he often comes here and berates me. So he might come in and berate me. So hello, Sue. She's told me to be positive tonight. So I'm being positive. It's just a defeat. That's all it is.
I tell you what, when we both lost, I'm not. To be honest with you, right before the last thing on, and the ball. Well, the good bit before we get onto the ball.
We don't want to talk about the football.
We conceded yesterday. Is it bad that we conceded yesterday? And the first thing I did was laugh, and I just went. Something's always the way. You know something? Everyone was coming out and going, raving at me. And I walked out laughing and going, well, football, innit? And I'm like, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got to the point where I'm like,
leave the football before the football leaves you.
I said to myself, I'm not doing Gillingham. So 9 days' time, I'll be sat in this chair at about 5 a.m. in the morning doing an intro. Yeah.
On the way to the away end with no roof.
Yeah, well, no, we'll be in the side because we don't take.
Oh,
penalties,
because
so
you're not big enough.
there's
We should also
benefits.
say it's good to see your mum back in the chat, Ben, because I know she's
Yeah,
had her difficulties over the last couple of weeks, and we'd like to. Well, I would, because Ben obviously comes to see you a lot, Jill. But I would like to pass on my best wishes to yourself and a happy new year, because I know it's not the start you wanted. But hopefully you feel better soon and you can be back looking after Nappers and wiping his backside before you know.
shut up. Right, should we get on with it then?
No.
Bristol Rovers, they played at home. What
Hold on,
happened, Jay?
Nappers. Oh, Nappers. Hold on. I've just gone through the the speed camera. You see it? You see it flash?
Yeah, I
Sorry,
know.
Bristol Rovers
Well,
fans. It's
Leyton
embarrassing.
Orient continue their unbelievable run. Now just 5 points off the playoffs. Their 10th victory of the season. They did concede in this one, so standards at the football club have gone downhill. Bristol Rovers, a decent performance overall, and expected goals of 2.41. Chris Martin with a brace, finally getting back on that scoreline. Chris Martin scored his first league goals of the season against Leyton Orient, in which was his 600th appearance in the top 4 divisions of English football. A disappointing result for Bristol Rovers under new manager Calderon, now just 2 points above the drop. They've now lost 13 matches this season, which is as many as bottom of the table Burton Albion.
Yeah, they're bad, aren't they, Bristol Rovers? And yesterday they were beaten by a much better team in Leyton Orient. They were just far superior in every category, really. They were more clinical. The goals, I don't know if you've seen Jamie Donnelly's free kick, Nappers, but it's an unbelievable strike. Good for Ethan Galbraith to get on the pitch as well, Charlie Kelman. But the one player that I'd like to highlight from an Orient point of view, and maybe not someone that's getting the headlines, is Sonny Perkins. Like, he had such an impact on the game yesterday, playing up front with Charlie Kelman. He actually, by the looks of it, played out on that right hand side, which I'm quite surprised by, given the fact that he's naturally a number 9. So yeah, he was a big part of the reason why later on we were able to continue this amazing winning streak. Disappointed, Richie Wellens will say it's not good enough. They conceded a couple of goals. I know they'd gone, was it 7 games without conceding? But yeah, Chris Martin, he's a prolific goal scorer at this level. Definitely a penalty for the first one. But yeah, no, Bristol Rovers, I'm concerned. This Calderon, I think he thought he was walking into a steady League One job when he took it. I think Bristol Rovers are anything but stable. The ownership issues, the issues with the director of football, they're a little bit of a mess. And I think Calderon thought maybe that was all a load of tosh. But they are, you look at the players that they've got, Ben, they're decent League One players. Like, Wilson won the league a couple of years ago and was a big part for Plymouth Argyle. Connor Taylor, they spent an awful lot of money on from Stoke. Isaac Hutchinson was someone that excelled in League Two last season. Rul Satoru did it for Leyton Orient last season as well. Promise Cherry, they paid what, 600-700 grand for his services. So this Bristol Rovers team should be a lot better than what they are. And I think once they're well coached, I think they need a bit more. What the team lacks to me, Ben, and you might agree with me here, is experience. That is a really, really, it feels like a really inexperienced team. They need an experienced head to guide them through and make sure they stay up this year.
They do. They're miles off, and I've been saying this for weeks. As a club and the culture, I question a little bit, if I'm honest with you. They've been through managers. They've been through different players, regimes, backing managers, maybe being a bit pragmatic in windows as well, spending money on players. People keep telling me that they've got a decent team. Fleetwood last year, on paper, start of the year, had James Stockley, Jack Marriott, Ben Hennigan, Boston Lowell, Brendan Wiradu. They had a good team. Josh Vella had played a lot of times in League One. But the culture isn't right at that football club. Losing games is a habit. Bristol Rovers, you look at the last 10, 15 games of last year, we're a bottom 4 team. They got to 50 points. They lost 6 in a row, 7 in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know. Full credit must go to Leyton Orient, who won and played very well again. It's a good victory for them under Richie Wellens. Normally slow starters get going around this period of time. And they've adapted to situations as well. Sometimes they've had to go a bit more direct and be in teams' faces. But look, great victory for them.
Up to
Barnsley
8 now, Ben. Up to 8. Up to 8. 5 points off the playoffs of a game in hand. Leyton Orient, whether you like it or not, are in a race for the top 6. And unless they get plucked apart in January, which I don't think they will, I think Richie Wellens will add to it. I think they are a genuine contender. And you know what? Gab Sutton, to be fair to him, called it out, 7 or 8 weeks ago? And he now looks like an absolute genius.
Not for the first time. Barnsley 2, Wrexham. Well, last year he said Fleetwood going to get relegated, and I was like, I agree with you, but I can't really put my opinion on social media. And then, moving on. Barnsley 2, Wrexham 1. Prior to this one, Barnsley were winners in their opening league match on the opening day of a year. In their last 6 years, losing 4 times during the other 2. And Barnsley's Davis Keeler-Dunn has been involved in 5 goals in his last 5 league games, 4 goals and an assist, while he's now scored in 3 consecutive games for the first time since March 2023. You get Keeler-Dunn up and running. Barnsley are up and running. A great victory for them as well. They've had home struggles, but they've never had home struggles against Wrexham, actually. They played 17 times and won 13, drew the other 4. And in every game, they scored at least 2 goals in all 17 and scored 47 goals against the Red Dragons. Barnsley now into the playoffs, 39 points, which is a steady start. Again, slowly but surely, for the first time, pulling a bit of a run together, winning 4 of the last 5. They lost 4-0 to Leyton Orient in there, so they blow hot and cold. Winning against 3, you'd say, promotion rivals in Bolton Wanderers. At the start of the year, you would. Bolton Wanderers, Wrexham, and then Peterborough, who they've been in the playoffs with for the last 2 years, who are miles off it, bear in mind now. Adam Phillips getting a goal as well, massive for him, and another assist, 7 goals, 4 assists for him this year as well. For Wrexham, they're kind of away from home. It's like, at home, they're like a page 3 model. Honestly, they're like Michelle Keegan, and away from home, they're a bit different.
Michelle Keegan in Brassic, is that what you mean? She's
a little bit, yeah. A little bit. They're a bit like Michelle Keegan and a bit like what Jake thinks he's pulled on a Friday night in that club in Lincoln, whatever it's called. What's it called?
Thanks, Ben. Which one, mate? I'm pretty sure when we go out, mate, you're the one that does the pulling, not me.
Move on.
We're moving on.
Away from home.
Moving on.
That's funny, isn't it? Yeah, they've scored 9 goals at home, away from home, Jay, which is a worry for them because they're very attack based and in your face, but away from home, they are a little bit more. Again, they have a lot more of the ball yesterday. That's 60% of the ball yesterday. Rex, they had 11 corners. They had 20 shots. They were on top in the football match. Wrexham's suit not having the ball and hitting teams on the counter-attack and being in the moles, and then they can exploit gaps. Bit like a Mark Kennedy side if Phil Parkinson was to leave.
Do you know what? And I don't know if you've seen Commons' comment in the comments there, but I think you should maybe take note. I was speaking to Wrexham fan the other week when we played them, and he said the way to beat Wrexham is by giving them the ball. And you look at the players that Wrexham lined up with yesterday, none of them are massively progressive, and none of them you'd imagine would be able to play a defence-splitting pass when Barnes is sat in a low block. And yesterday, Darryl Clark tactically got it spot on. He gave Wrexham all of the ball, and in the transition, Barnsley absolutely murdered Wrexham. They were dynamic. They were fantastic. You look at the goals. They win the ball high up the pitch, and they've got the bodies in and around the front too. And what really makes a difference for Barnsley this year as to what last year. You've got Phillips that's the creator, Connell that sits. You've got Russell, who also is allowed to sit and allows Connell to go and play maybe as an 8. But Davis Keeler-Dunn, he's such a difference for Barnsley. I know he plays up front we played up front with Waters yesterday, but it's been Humphreys on occasion as well. But he doesn't pick up the positions of a normal centre forward. He plays slightly deeper. Do you know, he's sort of similar to prime Roberto Firmino at Liverpool when they were unbelievable under Jurgen Klopp. He just drops into the pockets. He causes defenders issues because the centre halves go and follow him, and then all of a sudden there's a massive gap in behind, and you've got the likes of Phillips or O'Keefe and Cotter either side running into it. So, yeah, it was a really good win for Barnsley. It was a real big test for them because Wrexham, to be fair, Ben, we say Wrexham are bad away. They've had some pretty good performances on the road. They won away at Rotherham, didn't they? They got a point away at Charlton, which they maybe should have won. Yeah, they lost to Birmingham, but they've had some decent performances and decent days on the road, Wrexham. So this is a big step, I think, for Barnsley, proving that they can beat one of the top 4 teams, because we decided on the other day, whatever day it was, that it was the top 4 and the rest. So this is a big statement for Barnsley, proving that they can beat the teams in the top 4. And this will give them a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season, that they'll be able to finish inside the top 6. And, looking at the way that it's going at the moment, they're in there, aren't they? They're on 39 points. They've played more games than Huddersfield, but they're only 3-4 points behind them. So, yeah, it's a tough one. It was a really good win for Barnsley, a real statement win, I feel.
100%. If I'm honest with you, for the first time I will say this, if I was Brendan Wirredo, I would leave in January.
Would you?
I would, yeah, 100%.
Where would you go?
League One club, progressive League One club.
Hello.
Win games.
Hold on a minute. We've won 8 games this year. How many games have Fleetwood won?
8. We won 2 cup games.
Oh.
Talk about winning games. Wycombe 2, Exeter 1. You know, when it just happens for a reason. And when your luck is in, your luck is in. And I'm not saying Wycombe are getting lucky, but they had 4 shots yesterday. They had a penalty in the 94th minute. On this unbelievable fairy tale of a season, 50 points this season, which is phenomenal after 23 matches. Tied with Blues. Yes, I know they played a game more. Only lost 3 times. And, to Charlton, Wrexham, and then Birmingham. But you look at the late goal against Mansfield, the late goal against Exeter. When you're on these unbelievable runs, your luck is in. A bit like when Lincoln won that game. Was it against Leyton Orient last year? Where Jovan McCarmer scored, and you're on that unbelievable run, and it happens. Whereas you can't buy a goal at this moment in time. You can't buy a win at this moment in time. And it will switch. Again, it's a good start. Luke Leahy gets a goal, who he's had to wait for opportunities this year because he's been injured. But when he's been in the team, that's 3rd goal of the season. But Aaron Morley, he's loved. He's adored. 2 goals, 4 assists for him. And he's been taken in by this lovely, lovely family that have been so nice for him. Got his career back on track. Played games of football. Look, played 100 games for Bolton Wanderers over the last 2 years. This isn't a player that has been lacking in games. He played, I think over 100 for Rochdale. He's played games. It's not like this is his first real centre football. Last year he got 5 goals, 8 assists in all competitions. But he was never seen as the main man. At Wycombe, they love and adore him. It's him and, Cameron Humphreys, Onyedimia, Scowen can go in there as well. Luke Lee, shut up. And I'm not well, so please leave me alone. Okay. And yeah, so and now he's got to go home to Ian Everett. He's got to go from Matt Bluefield to Ian Everett, and it's like, well, he's back. It's a bit like when I can't say it, but it's a bit like when I go from Sue's house to your house. Loved and adored. I've got treats. I've got the luxury. And when I go to yours, it's like, right, back to normality.
I'll make a note of that, Benjamin.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I advise people actually to go and watch Josh Talks CFL's done a really good video on Wycombe, and it's been as good as it was to win for them yesterday. It's been a bad start to 2025 for them, isn't it? Because Caleb Taylor's gone back to West Brom today. Aaron Morley has obviously gone back to Bolton. There's a lot of talk about Cameron Humphreys also going back to where is he? Ipswich. They're getting plucked apart. There's interest in Jolo. There's interest in Richard Coney. There's interest in Matt Bloomfield. Honestly, this month could honestly make or break Wycombe. And to be honest, to be fair to them, on the pitch yesterday, let me finish, Ben. They made it yesterday. They were fortunate, like you say. They weren't vintage, but like you say, when it's going, it's going. Like the free kick takes a massive deflection, and Joe Whitworth all of a sudden can't get to the other side of the goal. And I mean, Gary Caldwell's called it a dubious penalty decision. I mean, it's not. It hits him on the hand. It's a definite penalty. So, yeah, when you get the look going, it's absolutely going your way. And Wycombe Wanderers seem to have that at the moment in abundance. A bit like what Pompey did last season. They were just finding ways to win late on, and they've done it again, Wycombe. I think they've done it once or twice at home before already. They've seemed to have done it. I remember when they got promoted out of League Two, Ben, they were just scoring goals like after 85 minutes almost every week, and I think they came third that season behind Luton. But yeah, no, really good win for Wycombe, like you say. But I do worry about what's going to happen to them off the pitch, because success when you are a smaller club and you're maybe don't have the financial ability to compete with the clubs that are coming in for your players. Like, for example, Jolo, we'll take Jolo for example. Swansea City, who have had bids rejected for him, can offer him a much more lucrative and beneficial package for Jolo than Wycombe Wanderers could do. So it's difficult. I do feel for them, because it feels like they're about to get broken apart a little bit.
I feel, right, and I've got a very strong view on this, right, in my opinion. If you sign a player on loan, and this will be very unpopular, if you sign a player on loan and he does well for you, that is less beneficial than him doing average for. So if Louis Barry scored 7 goals for Stockport, did okay, and then maybe after January did what he did now, you want him to do that. Boston Lowell last year, Boston Lowell did what he did for Fleetwood in the second half last year. In the first half, we wouldn't have had him in the second half.
Yeah.
So for me, and I had this chat with my mate actually after the game yesterday about Louis Barry actually, and it wasn't Kershaw. I said, and he said he went, it's stupid, and I spoke to him about it, and I thought, and I gave my 50 pence, and I went, I think there should be a clause for every loan player. If you are sending a player out on loan, you can recall him, but you are not allowed to send him back on loan again. You've got to use him. So it's either he stays at that club where he's doing well, you can't send him out on loan again. Because for me, and I know you can't make, they're not your players, and you want the best for the players, and I get that. But for me, it's stupid. It really is stupid. And
difficult, Ben, because there are examples of which in where, you know, you send them to one level and they smash it. You want to test them at a level above.
You do, and I get that. You want the best for your player. You want the most profitable. But I think Wycombe will be okay. I think they've got a spirit, and players will go there. Players will want to go there because they're coached well. They'll look at what they've done for Cameron Humphreys. So all of a sudden now they're in that category where Bolton Wanderers are. The Bolton Wanderers haven't gone for loan players for this year, really. Look at the team and you think, where's the good loan? There's no real Connor Bradley, James Trafford. I can't remember his name. What's he called?
Well, they have got a good loanee player.
From last year, Palace.
He did score 2 goals.
Lad from Palace last year.
From Palace?
No, who did he have on loan last year? My mind's gone. Yeah, midfielder.
From Brentford. From Brentford.
They're in London, aren't they? So there you are. My mind's not with it, mate.
I know what you mean, Ben, because loanees are big.
But for me, there'll be Premier League clubs that'll go, right, we want to get this player 30 games, or 25, 30 games. Wycombe Wanderers. They look what they've done for Cameron Humphreys. Look what they've done for Aaron Morley. And in 6 months, and same fit with Stockport. So I think they'll be fine. I think they've got a spirit, Wycombe. This is actually a talented group for what Wycombe have got. You look at their group in previous years that they've gone up with. They've been firefighters, warriors, bit of flair. But that's a good squad. I think Coney will stay till the end of the season. I think Joe Lowe will stay to the end of the year. Caleb Taylor is a big loss. It is a big, big loss. But I think they can get players in. They did bid for Brendan Wiradu in the summer. I got it rejected. I could tell you that.
I know they've got in for this
it was
Imre, haven't they, at Bromley?
You say Wycombe haven't got quite the money. Wycombe Wanderers put in, I would say, a very substantial six-figure fee.
I didn't say they didn't have the money. I was saying compared to Swansea.
But I don't think Caleb Taylor isn't irreplaceable. I'll say that
might replace him with Brendan Wiradu.
Yeah, I think it'd be a brilliant signing. I can't believe I'm saying this now because I want the best for Brendan Wiradu. If I was his agent, I'd be like, I want you to stay, but I want you to go and do the best version of yourself. Look at Wycombe Wanderers. That'd be my advice to Brendan. And I can't believe I'm saying, I've taken my Fleetwood hat off now. I try and want the best for good people. So that's why I'm trying to shovel you off to a podcast that I don't really like. Maybe that 4-0 written all over it. We'll give you in.
I don't think I've fit in. I don't think I've fit in there.
But yeah, yeah. Also, there's 50 people on the stream. If you could like as well, that'd be appreciated as well. And I'm very sorry there's no thumbnail as well. So out of my control, unfortunately. Exeter, that's their 11th consecutive away game on New Year's Day. Lost 6 of them, so they've not got a great record on New Year's Day. They lost 3-2 to Reading last year on New Year's Day. Shall we move on?
Yeah, where do you want to go next, Ben? I'm feeling either Cambridge, Reading, or Burton, Peterborough.
Well, if you looked at the running order I sent you 7 hours ago, you know exactly where we were going. But I know you've only got one eye.
Is it one of them two?
What? No.
Is it one of them? Oh,
no.
Sure.
Mansfield 2, Bolton 1. And the reason why he wanted to avoid it, there you are. Mansfield Town have opened their calendar year with a win in 7 of their last 8 years. I remember last year they won against Stockport County in that massive game that really secured Mansfield's promotion. And I just feel with Bolton at this moment in time that they could win 4 on the spin. So Bolton Wanderers could go in their next 4 games, beat Exeter, beat Rotherham, beat Cambridge, beat Charlton, then go and lose to Huddersfield. And that Huddersfield game, they're waiting. They are waiting and waiting and waiting for the inevitable, which will happen, of losing another football match. Of the inevitable. Yeah, that's very good. That I like that from you. Very good. Yeah, seriously. But they're just waiting for the drop off. They're waiting for a bad performance to pounce. And when it gets toxic at a football club, Bolton Wanderers is a toxic football club to be at. 6 months ago, and I've just said this on a video on TikTok, as Peter Kay will probably say, they were buzzing. 6 months ago, they were buzzing about being in a League One playoff semi-final against Barnsley, right? Bear in mind, this is a football club that has been in the Premier League and, a decent championship football club, ambitious one at that. 4 months prior to that, they were in the top 2 with Games in Hand FC last year. And it was an unbelievable place. The atmosphere going to that Wembley was unbelievable. And it was like the last 4 months hadn't existed. Ever since that Wembley hangover, it's been horrific. They've lost 8 games of their last 20. Bolton Wanderers have lost 8 of. They've lost 40% of their games recently. They've got an even goal difference. They've conceded 33 goals. Do you know what I mean? It's actually baffling. The record against sides above them, Mansfield they've won and lost against, with an extra man, bear in mind. Leyton Orient they beat on the opening day. Stockport got battered. Leyton Orient beat away from home on the opening day of the season. So this is a long time ago now. Barnsley got beat convincingly. Reading beat convincingly. Good win. Then the good sides, Huddersfield, Birmingham got battered. Wycombe were poor. And then Wrexham were poor at home in a very, very flat game. They are good against sides below them, that they're better than. They are beating sides because they are better than the clubs. I think Bolton Wanderers should be 7 or 8 points worse off than they are. It's not a situation this where Bolton Wanderers are getting unlucky. They played okay yesterday. They played okay. Nowhere near the level. I just fear Sharon Britton, who's been an unbelievable correspondent, an unbelievable figure at that football club, and I think still is, and does an unbelievable job, wants to back the manager and has trust in him. But sometimes you can have too much trust. Sometimes you can, maybe lose that by being too trusty and being too wanting someone to do well. And you need that clinical figure when things aren't going well to make a decision. And I just worry things are going to turn at Bolton Wanderers very quickly. And I don't think supporters want to go to games. I think they're getting to the point with when they're conceding, they're just going, they don't care anymore. There's no will there. And that's sad for a club like Bolton Wanderers. We'll come to Mansfield in a minute, but I'm talking about it every week. Yeah.
Well, I said to you, Ben, after they beat us the other day, I didn't think they were any good at all, and they beat us 3-0. They took advantage of game state there. I'd be surprised if everybody didn't beat us after being down to 10 men. But I didn't think they were very good that day, and they got the odd bit of fortune. And again, it just appears like their run seems to run out. They have one decent performance, and then their run looks out. They weren't in this game yesterday whatsoever. I mean, they had a lot of the ball, but you look at shots, 3 shots on target in 90 minutes for a club like Bolton away at Mansfield, it is not good enough. And you do wonder about this playoff hangover, because we've seen it before, haven't we, with several clubs, Ben? I mean, I know we experienced it the year after we lost the playoff final. Shrewsbury did it when after the year they lost the playoff final. They experienced a significant drop off as well. So it's a real thing. Yeah, I don't know about Bolton. I mean, you mentioned your TikTok there, Ben. You pretty much say everything that I would want to say in that. But they made changes yesterday. Dion Charles came in. Jones came in, and Luke Southwood in goal. I'm surprised that they made as many changes as they did. But another really poor performance of Bolton. It's become. I was chatting to the fan zone lot before the game on Sunday, and they were. You're right. They just didn't seem to care. They were very much Ian Everett out. That his position is now untenable. And they had no idea why on earth the board would help them. But they've got to be careful, because this is the board that saved them as a football club. Without the board in place at the moment, they wouldn't be anywhere near where they would be. But having listened to the chaps on the podcast, and they said there's no chief exec. They've not had a chief exec since Neil Hart left. They've not got a director of football. Are you really surprised that Bolton Wanderers are being left behind in the modern world by clubs like Barnsley, clubs like Mansfield, clubs like Wycombe, like Huddersfield, Reading, Stockport, Leyton, Orient, who have all got a clear structure in place and clear contingency plans? I feel that Bolton will not sack Ian Everett because they don't have a contingency plan for when he leaves. Or they don't. They'd have no idea who to get. They have no idea if they could get them. I feel like they'd go after someone that's completely unattainable, and they just throw a load of money at it, and that wouldn't be the smart decision. So there are shambles off the pitch, and the players. When you work in an environment that's a bit shambolic, that isn't in place, and it isn't, people know their roles, then there's no surprise the players can't do the jobs to the maximum of their ability, because this group of players, Ben, they're good players individually. They are fantastic, top-end League One players that should perform to the highest level in this league against teams like Mansfield. So, look, I'm not surprised with Bolton, to be honest. They run like a circus, and at the minute, the players on the pitch are playing as if they are part of the circus.
Yeah. Mansfield, though, brilliant. Again, we talked about this tough run that they were on, and they had to weather the storm. 3 wins in the last 4 now, with a draw actually before that as well. It's the 10th victory in Sky Bet League One, 34 points. There's a slow gap building in the table when you look at it between Peterborough and Rotherham. There's a 2-point gap, and there's a 2-point gap between Rotherham and Wigan. Then from 30 onwards, it's very close between 50, maybe 14th and 11th in Charlton Athletic, and Bolton are just that point in front of Charlton at this moment in time. They are only 5 points off the playoffs. They're 9 off Huddersfield in 4th. They're 14 points off Wrexham. So that, when I say points gaps are appearing, it's those 8 games that they've lost. 33 goals conceded. As many as Barnsley, which is a worry. But other than that, in the top 14, it's them two that have conceded the most goals. But onto Mansfield, again, they've got a structure and really fair play to them. Talk about being fair. Reading have won the last 3 now under Noel Hunt. 40 points, Jake, after 23 games. They had a really good 2024, especially at the Select Car Leasing Stadium. In the playoffs now, with another good victory. For Cambridge, it's 1 step forward and probably 3 steps back. They were on that good little bit of run, but they now lost 4 in a row. And that's what Cambridge can do. And you mentioned it. They can go through these slots where they can get maybe a win in a couple of draws, but they can easily go and get dragged. And now they've got 5 points, although they're only 5 points, because you look at it over the last 6 games, maybe the bottom 6, Northampton have collected 5 points and only got 2 points in the last 5. Bristol Rovers have only got a point in the last 6 games. Crawley have only got the 2 wins and 1 point in the last 4. Shrewsbury are actually improving. They've got 6 points in the last 4. Burton and Albion have got 3 points. They've got 4. They are matching them, but there's an opportunity here to go get points. They've got Bristol Rovers on Saturday, which is a massive game for them. But a loss at home to Reading. Talk me through it.
Capitulation. But Cambridge have got a capitulation in them, Ben, and yesterday it sort of reared its head. If you're looking from a Cambridge point of view, this is probably the worst set of goal scorers that Cambridge fans. This is what I imagine Cambridge fans went to bed the night before the game thinking, right, as long as we can stop Harvey Nibbs and Sam Smith both from scoring, it'll be a decent little day out. Harvey Nibbs scored twice, Sam Smith scored the other. Which is, it's a bit of a nightmare if you're a Cambridge fan. But yeah, no, Reading, I watched them the other week and I said to you how poor they were. I think that was because they were finding their feet under Noel Hunt. But clearly, since then, what's that now? 3 wins on the bounce over the festive period. He's got them. I feel like it's taken them a bit of time to get used to the system. They're playing a slightly different shape as to what they did under Ruben Sellers. They played with a 4-2-2. Whereas now they're playing with a 4-3-3. Harvey Nibbs playing as like a really advanced midfielder with Lewis Wing and Charlie Savage sat in behind them, offering that defensive protection. They look a different side to the side that I saw just over 2 weeks ago now. They're in good nick and they're winning games of football, and nobody had them. At the start of the season to be where they are now. Technically, I did. Did you, Nappers?
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
Technically, I did.
I'm trying to work out who that is.
H. Neal. It's not Harrison Neal, the Carlisle midfielder, is it?
Oh,
Harrison Neal, was that his name? That was his name. He was
on
on loan at Stevenage, wasn't he? Oh, of course he was. Where was he on loan from? Was it? Oh. Sheffield United, wasn't it, Harrison?
Technically, that was the actual name of my course. That's why I'm scared. It was actually called that. That exact word. It was called that.
Maybe someone knows you a little bit too well, Ben.
No one.
Yeah, great for Reading. Really good run of form. Cambridge. I mean, what the good thing for Cambridge yesterday is that they've got some of their players back. So Josh Stokes had a spell on the touchline injured. He's come back into the team. That's a big one because he'll be a big player for them if he stays there for the second half of the season. Kachunga getting back in as well, getting some minutes. That will please them. What I don't like about Cambridge, Ben, is the chopping and changing of the goalkeepers. Because it sends a bit of a weird message, doesn't it? Because they started the season with this Reyes on loan from Norwich. I think he kept them in a few games. He made a couple of mistakes, but it's one of his first loan spells out of Norwich. It's difficult for goalkeepers. And he's made a couple of mistakes recently, and they're just taking him out of the team. And I know it's maybe taking him out of the firing line a little bit, but it won't do any good for the lad's confidence. So, yeah, Stevens is a decent keeper for the level, but I feel like if you're Cambridge and you want to progress, you need to build up relationships with bigger clubs, and maybe that relationship with Norwich is slightly starting to fracture. But yeah, they've got a capitulation in them, Reading and not Reading, Cambridge, and I feel like yesterday, certainly second half, they completely capitulated. So yeah, really good win for Reading. For Cambridge, what's that now? 17 points from 23 games, projected 34. That's not going to keep you up. I would anticipate that we might see Cambridge drop into League Two unless Gary Monk can resurrect their season. But it's looking difficult, isn't it?
Time for the Imps. Lincoln City 0, Rotherham 1.
Can we not bother? Right. That's it.
I've had that on since last time they beat you. A little bit of a stat for you. Are you ready for it?
No.
Each of Rotherham United's last 17 league away victories, and it has stretched back since March 2021. So throw these, whether you actually won games of football then when you were in a promotion race, they've all been with a clean sheet, which is typical Steve Evans. I know obviously he's not been there for that long, but it's good that that's happening. And Lincoln City have won 1 of their last 15 league games against Rotherham, drawing 2, losing 12.
I can tell you when that game was, Ben. It was start of the season, 2019. It was a 2-0 win away at Rotherham.
Well done, under Danny Cowley. Well done. Rotherham had won 9 of the last 11 against the Imps. Lincoln City then, they're in 12th position. They've now lost more games than they've won. It's a run that, look, it's not a great run, is it? When you think about
1 in 11, Ben.
Say again.
1 in 11.
1 in 11, there you are. We went on a run similar.
Don't you start that.
I'm going to ask you a question. I don't think, look, you've not scored in your last 3. I don't like asking this. Should there be questions under Michael Scabala?
Yes.
I know you did really well. One of the best performing teams in 2024. But I feel if this was Mark Kennedy, there'd be questions asked. If this was another manager, there'd be questions asked.
It's
All Lincoln City are 12th in the league. Should they be doing better in your opinion?
Yes. We have a better squad than 12. We have a better squad than to finish 12th in the league. I look at the teams above us in the table. For me, and look, this might be me being biased, we have a better squad than Mansfield. We have a better squad than Leyton Orient. So I think we could easily be within the top 10. I think that's really where we should be aiming. It's tough. Michael's got a lot of credit in the bank. That run last season was phenomenal to take us from mid-table to the edge of the playoffs, and we were in the playoffs pretty much going in. I think we were in the playoffs pretty much going into the final day. Thanks, David. He's got a lot of credit, and I'm not saying that Michael needs to go now, but I do have to ask questions of the substitutes yesterday. When we were chasing the game and it was 0-0, he takes off Bailey Cadamartra and Jack Moylan, who were, to be honest, if anyone was going to score, it was going to be one of them two, and he took them off, and there were audible boos in the crowd. He got his subs wrong, and Michael has got his subs wrong quite a few times this year. But look, no, there should be questions asked, but. We've got we're probably bottom 8 for budget this year, Ben. We sold a lot. We lost a lot of key players in this. We're expecting to lose more key players this window. It's tough. It's a tough job for Michael because he's got expectations up here because of the way we finished last year.
Yeah.
And the budget says we should be down here. So technically you'd say that finishing here would be a good season. But because the club have built up saying we want to get to the championship, we want to get promoted, we've got American investors that are going to get us there, it's a little bit disappointing. And for this Rotherham team to take 6 points off us is incredibly disappointing because I thought they were woeful. I thought they were absolutely... They had no identity. They played for set pieces. There was typical Steve Evans. And fair play to them because we fell for it. Same as Shrewsbury. We fell for it. So, look, I'm disappointed. But we've got a game on Saturday against Stevenage, a winnable game against Stevenage. And with a good January transfer window, Ben, I think we can replicate the run of last season because we have a very talented squad. One that I think can still finish in the top 6.
That poor Rotherham side are 4 points behind Lincoln City.
With 2 games in hand.
For context as well.
They're awful. They're horrific.
They've won 1 game less than you.
Yep.
They've conceded 7 goals less than you.
They're awful. Ben, they are not a very good side. Oh well, they're not. But they beat us twice. Yeah, they beat us twice.
So you've got to say fair play.
You can go into teams can beat you and still be pretty bad.
Yeah, a bit like last year when you beat us at Highbury. You look at it though. They've won 3, drawn 1, lost 2, so they're improving slightly, but they are way off it. But a couple of wins are back in the mid-table picture, which I think Rotherham are this year as well. But I thought Lincoln were poor yesterday, and they're not laying a glove on teams anymore. I feel they've got a very good base. I think the worst part is the formation. And they've got to play it because that's what suits their team. But
it's identity for
limits the fullbacks. You struggle with width, you struggle to create chances, and you're getting in key areas and good areas, but not throttling teams.
We're passing it. Like Ben House got into a great position yesterday and passed it. If he had shot, he'd have had a shot on target, and I'm not saying he scored, but he'd have tested the keeper.
You've got too many 6s and 7s out of 10. It's typical.
We need some good recruitment.
Do you think you look at that team sheet and you think we're going to win 1-0 today, and he's going to score the winning goal?
No,
I don't think you've got. I think your biggest issue is, and I said at the start of the year, your biggest threats are your centre halves.
And 2 of them and our defensive midfielder could be leaving this month. So, positive. We've got Stevenage. We'll beat Stevenage. Life will be all right.
You didn't even deserve to beat us away. Come on, Jay.
I've always said you don't need to look at the table until like
the start of August next year.
Middle of March. That's when you know who's going to be in the playoffs, right? Come on, Lincoln. We can do it. Trust me. This group are talented. And they are extremely talented. And I still think, and I might be deluded, I still think we've got a chance of the top 6. I do.
Hang on a minute. Let me turn my camera off. Hang on. How do I do this now? Sorry, you didn't hear that, did you? You didn't hear that.
I think we still have a chance of the playoffs.
No.
22 games
Burton
to go.
2, Peterborough 2. Burton Albion have dropped more points from winning positions more than any side in League One this year. They've dropped 17 points. They've dropped 4 points in the last 2 games. And look, 2 points. If I asked David that at the start of the Christmas period after Boxing Day, would you take 2 points from these 2 games? You probably would. But the situations they were in, to win 1, to draw at Huddersfield, if they won that, responded to the Huddersfield, it would have been seen as a great, little bit of a period for them. Burton have improved. You look at Burton's run since they actually beat Shrewsbury. Well, they got a point against Crawley, beat Shrewsbury, got a couple of disappointing defeats at home to Charlton, Stockport, beat Peterborough, lost to Wrexham at home. They always lose at home. Lost to Exeter at home, lost to Birmingham, which isn't too bad. But they're slowly getting points, but I just feel like they're not getting enough points to make up the ground. 8 points now. Again, you're 2-0 up after the first 26 minutes. It's naivety. And you talk about Wycombe. They can see out games. They get the fine moments that they're not used to winning games, Burton. Collins, Fernandez, it's really good from Peterborough. It's what you expect. Again, an even game, but again, it's frustrating, and I don't know what to say about this side. To be fair, the last 7 times that they played at this stadium, the Pirelli, those 2 sides, always delivers. Both teams have always scored. it's frustrating, isn't it, for Burton?
I think the position that they get themselves in, certainly in this game, they'll be gutted that they've not got 3 points. But you can't perform like Burton did in the second half and expect to get a result. I thought they were very fortunate. Peterborough had a much improved second half. Burton were streets ahead of them in the first half. Got themselves 2 goals in front. Really lovely goal, I think it was for Kegg's Chout to nod in. But then it's almost like a mindset thing. It's almost like they go, well, you know, we're in a good position against a team that we can close in. We can really close the gap, and they just sink, and they sink further back, and they sink further back. And ultimately, when you do that against a team like Peterborough, the attacking talent that they've got, you know, Chris Clark made the difference yesterday, but you've got the likes of Mothersill, Ricky J. Jones, Joel Randall, Bradley, oh crikey, Ian Aven, we're going to go for Abraham Ado on the wing. They've got options, and this Peterborough team will score goals, Ben. If anything, yeah, we've seen it so far this year. We know they concede a load of goals, but Peterborough are still the top goal scorers outside the top 6. So what are they? They've scored the second most amount of goals, Ben, in the entirety of the division. So Burton sitting back against a team like that is poor mentality. And for me, if they'd have gone and got the 3rd goal, they'd have killed the game off. But they sit back, and defensively, the less said about that, the better. And look, it's a good point based on game state for Peterborough. For Burton, what's that? 14 points over 23 games. They're projected 28 points for the season. I think they're getting better under Gary Bowyer. I think they're more resolute defensively for the most part, better off the ball. But there's still a long, long way to go for this Burton team to be competitive at this level. And they've now got 23 games. They probably need, 32 points, 33 points to have a chance, Ben, given we don't know what the total is going to be this year. It's probably going to be higher, closer to 50 than it has been for the last couple of years. I just don't think it's realistic. I think Burton will need to not resign to the fact that they're going to go down, but I think they need to start mentally preparing themselves, because, you know, the pain will be a lot easier if they keep thinking they're going to stay up. It's going to be a lot more painful. So I think if they play with a mindset that it's going to be a really tough job to stay up, and it will be. Can you see Burton staying up, Ben? In a word.
If they'd won both their 2 games, and we're talking ifs here, they'd be 4 points adrift. And they remind me very much of Fleetwood last year. Fleetwood went on this spell, and David, I can concur with you. You'll be feeling everything I'm feeling right now. Similar clubs, similar budgets, similar size football clubs, and they're going on similar runs where managerial change, a lot's change, ownership change happened at the football club. There for a good reason. They thought ours wasn't so good. But they're going through these spells of they're getting better, but they're drawing games. They need to get better and win games. They've won 9 out of 50 games since New Year's Eve last year, 2023. Well, 2 years ago, 2023. They've lost 28, drawn 13. They've collected 40 points, and they're not winning enough games of football. Yes, lots of draws, 13 of them. Fleetwood drew a lot of games last year. You look at Fleetwood drew 9 of their last kind of 28, in that time of last year. So this is from the 1st of December last year. And it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. You look at them in 2024, they were pretty poor, Burton, weren't they? They really were poor. And I think they'd only collected 33 points from 45 games. That's a full season in a full calendar year. Well, Rotherham United have had a poor year in League One this year and got 27 points from half the games. It'd be very, very difficult at this moment in time. I think if anyone's going to get out of it, it'll be Shrewsbury.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree.
Talking about Shrewsbury, we'll move on to them now. Blackpool won, Shrewsbury won. This is the first time Shrewsbury have gone unbeaten in 4 matches for the first time in 2 years. Shrewsbury, decent record against the Seasiders, winning 12 of 27 meetings. 6 points collected from the last 4. Decent little record that. Blackpool are getting towards this period of maybe, yes, I know you can pull a few results together like they did a few weeks ago, and they were near the playoffs, weren't they? I think they were good. Did they get into the playoffs, I think, at one point under Steve Bruce? But 29 points, you look at it now, the 10 points off the playoffs, the 9 off the bottom area, potentially season over unless they do something soon. For Shrewsbury, they're building something now above Cambridge. Their next game should be Crawley. They're 3 points off that. They've beaten them already this year. It's doable. It really is doable. They've got Leyton, Orient, and then they've got some easy games after that. They've got Huddersfield at home, Wrexham at home, Charlton away, Stockport away. So,
That's 12 points, Ben, for Shrewsbury, remember?
But if anyone can beat them, it's Gareth Ainsworth, who is resolute, and I would run through brick walls for that man.
So would I. Do you know what the difference
Well, you did
is,
the other
Ben?
day. You were telling him to shut off the other day.
Yeah, I was. You're right. The difference, Ben, certainly in the last couple of weeks for Shrewsbury has been that man, Tom Bloxham. He came off the bench away at Wigan, scored twice, and earned them a point. I thought he was very good against us down the right-hand side. And yesterday, for all the world, it looked like Blackpool were going to cruise to a 1-0 win, but Tom Bloxham will be pops again for another goal. And he's a young player who's played a lot of games in the first team. I remember he had a loan at... Did he go to Morecambe last year, Ben, Tom Bloxham? He did, didn't he? Played a lot of games for Morecambe. I remember him because he played against us in the Cup as they beat us. Yeah, really tidy player, and he's come in and he's really impacting the Shrewsbury team. And like you say, Ben, they're playing for Gareth Ainsworth, and there's nothing more that Shrewsbury fans can ask for. Particularly, they are resolute. They were unfortunate to concede yesterday, but they don't. And this is a trait that I love about Gareth Ainsworth teams is they don't know when to beat them, Ben. You look at the game against Wigan, like I said the other day. And then yesterday, going the goal behind. But yeah, just really, really resolute. They're starting slowly but surely to gain all the traits of a really good side. Yeah, apparently so. But yeah, great point for Shrewsbury. For Blackpool, like you say, Ben, I wouldn't say season over because they could go on a really good run on the second half of the season and get themselves in the playoffs. And we know Blackpool are always a team that sneak up that second half of the season, and all of a sudden they're in and amongst it. They were a team that I wasn't even contemplating worrying about for the final 5 games. But I think, did they win 3 in a row at the back end of the year? I just thought, oh my God, Blackpool are well and truly in it. So yeah, I don't know. I still think with Steve Bruce in charge, I think they've got a chance. I think if they have they've got to be pretty much faultless, haven't they, between now and the end of the season? You're probably thinking they need another 40. They probably need about 47 points from 23 games. They need 2 points a game particularly.
Which, for context, when you look at it, is what Wrexham are doing right now, what Huddersfield are doing right now.
Can Blackpool do that? I don't know if they can.
I think they've got enough quality, and they can. I think that their aim is this year has to be get the fans back on side, give the fans something to be excited about. Because, like Bolton, Northerners as football fans and everyone as general, they thrive off being excited. I'll be honest, I'm not excited about the club that the journey my club's on at the moment. Struggling to get emotionally attached because I don't feel like we're going to go down. I don't feel we're going to go up. I want a bit of excitement of 2 or 3 wins together where I feel something could happen here. It's kind of been like, well, we'll win, draw, lose, win, draw, and which is okay. And maybe be careful what you wish for. But Blackpool, when they are at their best, is when the fans are on top of you. And for me, there's not a lot of better supporters at home than them. And I can quite frankly say that. I'll be honest, I'll always come on here and I will not say anything that I don't genuinely believe. Look, I could come on easily and have a little bit of a dig, but they, for me, got Blackpool, promoted a few years ago, from League, from obviously from the Championship to the Premier League, but also from League One. That when they had the fans in the ground for there was 2,000 of them or 3,000 of them. It sounded like 15 on the telly. It really did. And in the Championship, they kept them up. There wasn't many better, believe me. We'll move on. 2 quick games. Let's go Stockport, Birmingham. Birmingham City are 10 games unbeaten in all competitions. It's the longest run since February 2020. Well, a month later, a COVID lockdown happens, and maybe that might happen again. Birmingham's 1-1 draw against Stockport and extended their winless run on New Year's Day to 15 games, drawing 5, losing 10. It's the best actual result for a few years since a draw against Sheffield Wednesday. Never normally good on this day. That's 2 draws on the spin now for Birmingham City, but 50 points from 22 games. The bigger picture, 15 wins, 5 draws, 2 defeats, only conceding 17. Really impressive goal yesterday from Alfie May. What was impressive, Iwata's little tackle. I don't know if you saw it, where he got the ball in a kind of a 50-50, and that's what Iwata does best. Wasn't his best yesterday. Birmingham were at his best. I think that Paik, Iwata needs to be at the best for them to be at the best. Stansfield kind of was a little bit shoved out the game a little bit. Stockport did very, very well. It's a good point for them. And look, they're losing Louis Barry, but they've got a good point there on the board.
Yeah, pretty much what you said, Ben. Birmingham not massively at their best, but still good enough to contain a team like Stockport County, who, only a couple, I think it was 6 weeks ago, beat Bolton by 5-0 at Edgeley Park. They're a dangerous team at Edgeley Park. They win a lot of games at home, Stockport. So to go there potentially, a little bit weaker than what they had been. I think what you can see with Birmingham is, I've spoken to a few Blues fans about it, is Chris Davis doesn't rotate very often, and given the depth and quality of his squad, you'd perhaps be surprised in that. I think there's a couple of players that are not potentially getting the minutes that they probably deserve if they were elsewhere, the likes of Mark Leonard, the likes of Luke Harris. You're talking about Scott Wright, Lyndon Dykes, probably could all play for most other teams in the top 6 regularly at that as well. So yeah, it's a good point for them, but they looked a little bit leggy yesterday, I thought. And like you say, when Paik and Iwata aren't playing their best, then Blues just can't control the game in which they want to do, and that then hinders the likes of Stansfield, Williamson, and May at the top end of the pitch. Stockport, great point, really good character to go behind so early. To continue to find a way. Obviously, no Louis Barry in the squad yesterday, given the fact that I'm not overly sure why he couldn't play, whether he was injured or whether there was something saving himself.
Trying to get used to not having him.
Yeah, potentially, but by all accounts, it was a nice moment. I think it was before the game where he went round and waved goodbye to the Stockport fans. Looking forward to seeing what he can produce in the Championship. But yeah, a good point for Stockport. They had to fight for it, and Birmingham were not an easy team to fight back, especially going a goal down to, but they're able to do it. And a good point for Stockport.
There's 532 games in the Sky Bet League One season. I think this is categorically in the top 3 worst games you will see for a very long time. Northampton 0, Stevenage 0.
End of. End it.
There was 4 shots on target. It's another 0-0 for Stevenage. It's a good point for Northampton. You would think 23 points. It's another point closer to the drop from away from the drop zone for Stevenage. 30 points. They won a corner. Farley delighted on the day that he announced some very special news. And did you see the comment? So Farley obviously announced he's getting married, and someone put, the stag in Vegas, and someone put, I think they put, if it was Farley, he's going to have it at Shrewsbury away. And I just replied, I went, if I know Farley, he'll be going, they'll be looking at Wednesdays and the missus will be going, what about this day? And he goes, hang on, let me just check the fixture list. Like, you got what? I think having it in June's quite nice. End of May. Oh, I'm not quite sure we could get the playoffs.
It's funny you say that because I've spent 2.5 hours talking to Farley today, obviously, because we play them on Saturday. So we've been doing podcasts and previews or what have you.
Was he excitable for 2.5 hours straight?
Yes, he was. Yeah, extremely excited. It was like, you know, the moment when you see people unbox a puppy on Christmas Day, and as soon as the puppy gets out of the box, it's like running around and it's dead excited. Farley was doing that for 2.5 hours, just talking about a game between Lincoln and Stevenage. Look, positive for Northampton. It's Kevin Nolan's first point in charge of Northampton. So,
no, it's that second point.
Is it? Oh yeah, it's Shrewsbury. But first,
go on, mate. Say it. Say what I think you're going to say.
It was the first. What? At least they got a
point at
home.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, that's what I did say. I think we had a bit of miscommunication there, Nappers. Yeah, pretty relevant game, to be honest. It was pretty boring. The one highlight that I took away, and I asked this about Farley earlier, Stevenage only made one sub. Whether that means Alex Ravel isn't confident in the players on the bench or they're not fit. I know they've had a few injuries to key players this year. So, yeah, pretty forgettable game. Point towards the safety for both of these teams. There's not a lot to say, Ben. It was a pretty drab affair. There wasn't a lot going on. Neither team deserved to win it, really.
Yeah, agree with that. Right, we'll wrap up the show. Not for the fact that Luke Little is about to play, but any questions? Let us know in the chat down below.
Hold on, we've got to do some predictions, mate.
But before we do so, I've got a message from a very special friend of mine. A special friend of ours, actually. And yeah, just listen to him. And if you could help him, donate, support him, I promise him we'll play this.
This little race.
I will be doing a 35-mile walk on September the 6th. And I'll be going from Eastbourne to Hove. And I'm doing it for Mind Charity. Mind Charity is a mental health charity that offers services to those that are struggling with their mental health, for things such as weekly check-ins, face-to-face sessions. They even offer mental health training as well. And they can only afford to do this through fundraising and donations, because at the end of the day, everybody knows somebody, or even if it's yourself, that have struggled with mental health in the past or even present now. Mind Charity do as much as they can by offering the information and resources to get you back on track. It's going to be a good 9 months of training to get ready for the walk itself. I'm excited, but yeah, any support, guys, I'd really, really appreciate it.
There we are.
What a man! What a man!
35 mile.
I love little race.
Yeah. There you are. That's about the distance that Jake covers on a 5-a-side pitch every Friday.
It is.
In his car. Any questions for the last 2 or 3 minutes? If you could subscribe, yeah, we do. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be very much appreciated as well. Thank you very much.
I'm first this week, Ben, I think, because you went first the other day. So, starting off, goodness me, this is a really boring game to start off with.
Hang on, how did we do this week?
Don't know. Didn't have time to look at. I've been busy, mate. I've been busy. Right, I've got a lot going on. Burton, Northampton, first half 12 kickoff, Ben, at the Pirelli. I'm gonna go Burton.
Massive game.
Burton 2, Cobblers 1.
I'll go 2-0 Burton.
Cambridge versus Bristol Rovers. Now, I understand Charlie Hayne is going for a night out in Cambridge, so I hope he's got 50 grand saved up because the beer down there is awfully expensive. I'm going to go Cambridge 1, Gas 1.
Cambridge 0, Bristol Rovers 1.
Barnsley at home to Crawley Town. I'm going to go Barnsley. Barnsley 3, Crawley 0.
2-1 Barnsley.
Charlton hosting Reading. I'm going to go. Ooh, Charlton Reading. Charlton didn't play, did they, the other day? Charlton 2, Reading 1.
1-1.
Big game in Yorkshire. Huddersfield hosting Rotherham United. I'm going to go Huddersfield 2, Rotherham 0.
2-1 Huddersfield.
Exeter against Bolton. I believe, didn't Exeter win at Bolton earlier in the year 2-0? So revenge for Ian Everett. Not for me. I'm going to go Exeter 1, Bolton 1.
2-1 Exeter.
Big game in the mid-table. Lincoln versus Stevenage. I've got Imps 1, Stevenage 0.
2-1 Imps.
We never win when you predict us to win.
Leyton
Orient versus Shrewsbury. I'm going Orient 2, Shrewsbury 1.
Leyton Orient 0, Shrewsbury 1.
I thought you might go for that. Stockport versus Mansfield at Edgy Park. I'm going to go Stockport 2, Mansfield 1.
2-0 County.
Wrexham at home to Peterborough United. I'm going to go Wrexham 2, Peterborough 0.
2-1 Wrexham.
Wigan taking on Birmingham. I'm going to go Wigan 1, Blues 2.
Wigan 0, Birmingham 1.
I thought you were predicting 3-0s for Birmingham. Bad idea. And Wycombe against Blackpool. I'm going Wycombe 2, Blackpool 0.
1-0 Wycombe.
There you are. There's your show. There's your show.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please subscribe.
Still got another show before we go back to work. On Monday.
I've been back. I've not stopped, son.
You work in
was
the
there
service
today.
industry, mate.
I was there.
You work it.
I was there Tuesday. I was there Monday. I was there Sunday before the Fleetwood game. I was there Saturday for a bit.
I wanted to go back into work today, but I wasn't allowed because it would take up 2. They wanted me to use 7 days rather than 5, and I was quite annoyed about that.
Yeah, well, maybe a sign that they just don't want you in the office.
I'm all for that. I'll work from home.
Yeah, well, I don't think I would. I get bored. I want to go out. So
working from home is cool. I enjoy it.
Well, yeah. To guess how many steps I've done today at work and on my run.
18,512.
I'll show you now. Are you ready?
You're gonna miss Littler here, boy. 31. What time does Littler start?
He's on very soon. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Please like, please subscribe, and
thanks.
Thanks for watching.
See you Sunday. Can't wait.
See you Sunday. I'll be at Fleetwood game. So I'm rushing home to get home.
We're back to normal hours. Get in.
I tell you what, it'll be the 5th show in 2 weeks. I'll be glad for a bit of a break.
I know.
I'm a bit burnt out, I'll be honest with you. I'm struggling. But yeah, lots of content coming. See you later.
See you later. Bye, Sue. Love you.